What's going on, people? Good morning and welcome to United View. Welcome to your daily dose of Man United transfer news. Lively show this morning. Maguire speaks out and Maguire future in doubt, question mark. I wanted to talk about that. I want to talk a little bit about Paul Pogba's decision to go to Juventus. That's in arguably the latest stages. Aaron Wan-Bissaka is looking at direct contact with Erik ten Hag as well to decide his future. We know what's going to happen there, and a little bit more to get into as well. I saw some, and then I do want to talk about, and then very, very quickly, quite silly really. I saw, I think it was the Mirror reporting that Mason Mount, Man United interested in Mason Mount, and that Barcelona have allowed Manchester United into the race for Robert Lewandowski because Barcelona can't sign him, which is absolutely a load of nonsense. I'll dissect that in a little bit. But let's get into it. Harry Maguire, hot topic. And Melissa Reddy at Sky Sports had this to say yesterday on Harry Maguire. And I found this quite interesting because also Harry Maguire has been talking to the Telegraph while he's been away on international duty with England. So it's kind of a little bit of both here. It's journalists and information from one side of the coin with Melissa Reddy at Sky Sports doing well. She had this to say: Harry Maguire retaining his place in Man United starting 11, let alone the captain's armband, is in jeopardy. She also goes on to talk a little bit about Erik ten Hag, and that Man United believe Erik ten Hag's continental exploits with Ajax and his ability to improve players will attract enough top targets. And she also says that basically she outlines what Manchester United are trying to do going forward. But the meat of what she said and what I want to focus on today and talk to you guys about is this, which is the bit of Harry Maguire retaining his place in the starting 11, let alone his captaincy, is in jeopardy. Now that goes in contrast as well. I have to give balance to this and context. Harry Maguire was also been talking to the media and did have a lot to say. I haven't watched the interview. I don't know. I think it was just written. So these are the quotes from what he said. These are just some of what he said. He said, "I'm sure I'll be back to playing my best football very soon. We have a new manager in, one that we are really looking forward to and working with." He also says, "I'm sure the first day of pre-season, everybody will be buzzing around, doing their best to impress, and everyone coming back in shape because we have a big season ahead of us. We know we are going to improve." Big words. He also says, this season has been a challenging part of my career, but during a career of 10 or 15 years, if you want to play at the top, you're going to have ups and downs. You're going to have critics, concede goals, make mistakes, and go through spells of being under pressure to deliver performances. This is that season for me. And there's a bit more, but I'll get into it in a little bit. Let's get into what Melissa Reddy said first. The Ten Hag situation about his, he might not even be starting, let alone the captaincy. And I don't know. I've got no sources on this. I just got a feeling he's not going to be the captain anymore. I didn't think that. I didn't think that before Ten Hag come. And there's not been like some inside information or something really, really strong. It's just my gut feeling. And I actually feel that Harry Maguire can learn from that. I feel like Harry Maguire can benefit from not having the captaincy anymore. Because if you think about it, it's way too heavy. Like, yes, he's shown that he's absolutely struggled. Yes, he's shown arguably that is he good enough to even play for Manchester United with what we've been seeing. And the team's been horrendous. But would he, and this is the question for you, would he benefit from being stripped of that captaincy, stripped of that level of status within the dressing room and at the football club? And I mean this with the greatest amount of respect, brought back down to size, to earth. I don't know if I'm being a bit too strong there, but brought back down to reality and given a role that he should have always been given, which is, you're part of many cogs here. You're on a lot of money, but fit in and take care of your own performances, and let's see where we go. And hopefully Ten Hag can come up with a system that can make Harry Maguire look a lot better than he is, or play and be a lot more comfortable than he is. Because I feel that the scrutiny on him is super high because he's 85 million. The scrutiny on him is super high because he's captain. And the scrutiny, and rightly so, has been on him because he's not been very good. He's been absolutely shocking. But you can alleviate two of those things. We can alleviate one of those things by taking the captaincy off him. Because when the captaincy's there, it goes to a different level. We've had Brian Robson. We've had Eric Cantona. We've had David Beckham. Do you know what I mean? We've had top draw captains at the club. We've had Roy Keane. Do you know what I mean? At times it's been Vidic. It's been Evra before. Do you know what I mean? Top draw captains. So we've had Wayne Rooney, obviously. So look, for me, if you strip that off him, I think it gives him a fighting chance of getting out of the limelight. Now, it's interesting that Melissa Reddy is saying that his starting 11 place is up for grabs, let alone the captaincy. If we come out of the captaincy, this could be a positive as well. Could he benefit from, this is another bit of what I'm saying, could he benefit from saying, you know what, you're not the captain, and also, you ain't the guaranteed starter, mate. You ain't the guaranteed starter. We've brought in Jurriën Timber, fingers crossed. We've brought in Jurriën Timber. He's young, up and coming. Varane's fit, fingers crossed. And they've been playing in pre-season, and they've played really well. Again, fingers crossed, these are hypotheticals, but you're going to now have to earn your spot. You're not going to be the guaranteed starter. That will either go one of two ways. He might have a bad season where he doesn't play as much games and he's a bit annoyed that he hasn't started as much and he's not the captain. Might look for a move by the end of the season. It's a World Cup year. I think even if he didn't play at Man United as much as he usually did, Gareth Southgate would still pick him because he loves him. And then Harry Maguire has to go up gears and earn his spot back. Could that be a challenge that needs setting for him to get him on his toes, to get him back in? Obviously, with some of the stuff he was saying on international duty, he believes that he'll believe he'll be playing. And he might have already had those assurances. I don't know. But, excuse me, he will definitely benefit from being scaled back. That's, I think, what my point is. Because Melissa already said that on Sky Sports, that doesn't mean he's going to get stripped to the captaincy. That definitely doesn't mean he's going to get sold. And it definitely doesn't mean that he's not going to play. But it's something that she's posing. She must have got that information from somewhere. And I think there's some truth in it somewhere in the middle. And when you go with what Harry Maguire's been saying, he seems very, very confident about next year. And look, he has to be. He has to be. You know, this is what I found was interesting from Harry Maguire as well. This is also what he said to Telegraph. He said, although there are a lot of critics out there, I'm actually still my biggest critic. The next biggest is probably my dad. I analyse everything I do. Every day I'm trying to improve. And he said, every player at the club has not performed to a level that's expected, apart from Cristiano with his goals. Probably a bit cheeky there. He should add David De Gea into that. But, you know, you can't get everything. I'm not going to nitpick. But he says that nobody basically performed apart from Cristiano Ronaldo. And he also says my mentality is that criticism doesn't affect me too much. But when it comes to bomb threats, it's more about my family. There is a line. We are human beings. I have a family. 100% agree on that. This shouldn't even come into it. I think everyone stands with Harry Maguire with that. And this is interesting as well. He says, I totally accept criticism when we concede goals or make mistakes. I'm big enough to accept people getting on my back and I can and saying I can improve. I'm in a position where I'm going to be criticised. Man United paid a large sum of money for me. It is one of the most loved clubs in the world and also one of the most hated. We know we are under the most scrutiny. So he didn't hold back. He had a lot to say. Look, we rewind to when he was cupping his ears after scoring against Albania or Liechtenstein or whoever it was at Wembley. We knew the criticism got to him. You know, pressure bust pipe. At that point, the pressure bust his pipe. It was as simple as that. He was feeling the heat. He scored a couple of goals against nobodies, and give it the big one. Then he came back and played shit straight after that to be, you know. I think was it the Manchester derby after that? I can't remember what game it was. You lot remember probably better than me. But I remember he came back and played absolutely awful after doing that cup in the ear thing. I think he made a mistake. I think he scored an own goal. I think he could have scored an own goal. I can't remember who it was against. So he has showed at times that he's broken under the pressure. And then the biggest sign of breaking under the pressure is the performances. You haven't been performing. And that's not to say the whole squad hasn't been. That's just Harry Maguire. But this is Ten Hag's challenge, though, to give a little bit of optimism and look at the other side, because I don't think you can protect Harry Maguire's performances. I don't think you can protect Harry Maguire. He has to show something this year. But to look on the other side of it, this is a big challenge for Erik ten Hag, because I don't think Harry Maguire gets sold this season. I don't. I think he would have been told, and he may even be of the impression himself that he wants to get something out of him. But I definitely think at the club they would have said, look, he's a huge asset. We're not selling him yet. Do you know what I mean? He's still got a few years left on his contract. He is currently the captain of Manchester United. All right, you might want to change that, Eric, but we expect you to get more out of some of our players here. Us as fans have given up. loads of you at home sitting there watching this now on the way to work or whatever, in the car, on the train, wherever you are, you could have given up. You could have seen enough of Harry Maguire. And a lot of Manchester United fans have come to the safe conclusion that no matter what happens, he will never be good enough to play for Manchester United. Not even be the captain, just be good enough to be a centre-back to take us forward. Some of you may think that, but obviously it just doesn't work like that at a club. Like we said, Ten Hag has to work with, 85 to 80% of these players, I reckon, that are still going to be here, because you can't sell everyone. And Harry Maguire definitely falls into that, for me anyway, of where the outlay was too much on him, they won't accept selling him, and Ten Hag needs to get a tune out of him. Now that's a challenge for Ten Hag. Does Ten Hag go down that route of trying to have a system in place that's on the front foot, where we're dominating the ball, where we're not running back towards our own goal, where the midfield's more tight knit, so our defenders don't get exposed as much? Does he go down that route and try and make Harry Maguire look better and hide his weaknesses, which is what good managers do? Or like I said, does he look at it and say, I've got a Timber who's really active, he's really combative, he's really aggressive, he's really on the front foot, he's quick, he's young, and I've got Varane who actually is fit. Or maybe I've got Lindelof who's fit, and go a different route. Does he go for a different style? It's going to be very, very telling. I think the first initial bits in pre-season with the captaincy are going to be absolutely huge. I don't know when Ten Hag's next press conference is going to be. It's probably would be on tour, wouldn't it? Or in the lead up to tour, maybe a week before. Actually, no, it'll probably be when he gets the players back for pre-season at Carrington. When's that? 27th of June. I reckon there'll probably be some media stuff there. How's it been going, Eric? You know, how the players looked, etc. I think after his first few training sessions, we'll have in-house media, and then they'll probably do something as well. But definitely in the lead up to going to tour, he will have to have his captain in place, in my opinion. I think you need to set the precedence right from the games on tour. You know, the first game is against Liverpool. Do you know what I mean? And I know you say pre-season games don't mean anything, but in terms of us, I think they're going to set a precedence. He's got 4 games out there, I think, or 4 games in pre-season in general, 3 in the Far East and 1 in Oslo. And he needs to set a precedence. And I think the first thing of that is going to be the captaincy. Now, it's going to be interesting to see how Harry Maguire reacts to that captaincy role being taken off him. That's the first thing. The second thing is how does he then react to then not being the main starter if that's the case? Do you know what I mean? So Harry Maguire's got it all to do. It's essentially, England doesn't count. He's always going to be in that squad. Gareth Southgate loves him, and he's actually, to be fair to him, again, you don't just want to be biased for the sake of it. Away from Man United, he's been okay. He's been okay for England. They play a different system. There's a lot of good players there, and they're a fairly settled team. Even if you think England ain't it because of Gareth Southgate, whatever, Harry Maguire's done well by England. You have to say that. But at Man United, we know it's been absolutely trash. So he's got a massive season ahead of him. And I the closer it's getting to Ten Hag deciding what's going to happen and how he's going to run with Maguire, I'm getting intrigued because, you know, will we be looking back in 6 months' time saying, wow, you know, Maguire's playing really well. I remember the time just before we got injured in the back end of the season before last, when we was in the latter stage of the Europa League getting to the final. He was out for a good few weeks, I think, and we felt it. I remember when Lindelof was playing with Bailly, and I think even Tuanzebe could have been playing, or was he on loan? And I can't remember. I think it was Lindelof and Bailly playing anyway, and we were like, oh, man, kind of do need Harry Maguire back. You know, he has had a little bit of a run where he was okay. Let's not forget that in fairness to him. But overall, he's been absolutely miles off it. Leg speed, not good enough. Understanding of the game and reading the game, not good enough. Defending in one-on-one situations, not good enough. The main thing that he's supposed to be good at, which is, you know, imposing in the air, attacking the ball in terms of scoring goals or being a threat from that, not good enough. Distribution sometimes, another thing that he's supposed to be good at is playing out from the back and stepping out with the ball, not been good enough. And all in generic organising the whole back four when he's the leader, he's the one, not been good enough. So a lot of crosses in Harry Maguire's report book, really, and not a lot of ticks, but it's a new slate, innit? New space. And, you know, I think reporters are going to have their say and there's going to be little bits of information out there, but essentially Ten Hag's going to have to make the decisions. And if Ten Hag if Ten Hag is a great manager, a progressive manager, one that improves players, then hopefully he can get a tune out of Harry Maguire. Look, I don't think there's Man United fans who think this, because I shouldn't be. No one wants Harry Maguire to keep failing. Some of them might have made their mind up and say, look, it don't matter who the manager is. I don't believe he's ever going to get good, so sell him. That's different. But if he plays, you want him to play well because he plays for Man United. Do you know what I mean? So if Harry Maguire's still here, which he is going to be, I want him to play well. We've still paid 85 million on him. If Ten Hag is going to be the key to unlock Harry Maguire, great. Do I think that's going to happen? I still think there's going to be relatively a large amount of question marks. I don't think Ten Hag can fix it all. I think we're still going to reach a ceiling with Harry Maguire where we're like, okay, cool, we've had Ten Hag now. He's done a bit better, but he still ain't it. And I think the squad will naturally go in a different direction at some point. But for this season, because you can't get rid of everyone, like I always say, we've got to look at Harry Maguire improving under Erik Ten Hag and take that. And hopefully he can do that. Smash a like on the video, peeps. Subscribe if you're new. Let me know what your thoughts are about Harry Maguire potentially missing out on a starting 11 place, let alone the captaincy, according to Melissa Reddy. And what do you think of some of the reports that he's been saying, some of the stuff he has been saying, quote, just basically backing himself, because that's what it is. He's backing himself. He's basically backing himself to bounce back, as well as the team, but on a personal saying he can deal with the criticism. He knows what it's like to play for Manchester United. He can deal with the scrutiny, and he's going to be back stronger. And in a 10 to 15 year career, you've got moments like this. He's basically saying that. So let me know what you think about that. Paul Pogba. Let's touch a little bit about Paul Pogba. He is waiting. He's got a contract offer on the table from about 10 days ago from Juventus. And, you know, Fabrizio Romano gave an insight as to what he's going to be doing, and basically saying that, you know, the offer still stands and he's yet to make his mind up, you know. If he does, then he's going to be going to Juventus. I just feel like, I don't know. Juventus is like, it's just be like a bit, meh, if he goes back there. I just think, look, I was saying this to KG and KG didn't agree with me. I think I'm comfortable now in saying that I overrated Paul Pogba. I did. What's been right at Manchester United will get thrown back at you. Who's thrived at Manchester United will get thrown back at you. The team wasn't right will get thrown back at you for Pogba. And I'm not denying that he's world class on his day. I think Pogba can do world class things, but I don't know if he actually is world class. I think world class players, they still show a bit in shit teams, and I think he's had probably one decent season. Has he been unfairly treated where everything is about Paul? 100%. I've stood up for him in times where I think it's unfair. But what I won't do is just blindly say, you know, all of the problem has been Man United and Pogba is absolutely, you know, his shit doesn't stink because he's the best player in the world. I think he's got bags of ability, and on his day, he can do amazing things. But can I put my hand on my heart and say he does enough? And also, it was down to me to understand what Paul Pogba actually is and what he isn't. And I think it took me a long time to realise that. Probably too long. But I think he's just the cherry on the top, innit? The cake's made and you just place a little Paul Pogba on top and sprinkle it. I don't think he's something you can build around. I don't think you can bring him into a team that's fractious and make him the nucleus and build from there. I think the team needs to be very settled, and then you put him in. Which isn't a disrespect to Paul Pogba. That's just how I see it. I've looked at games where I'm like, okay, we're shit, but let me look at what you're doing, because you've got the label of top draw. When I look at players like McTominay and Fred and people like Wan-Bissaka and other players just not doing their job, Maguire, whatever, they ain't got the label of being what Paul Pogba is supposed to be. And rightly so, Paul Pogba should have got them labels because of what he's achieved in his career and what he's capable of. So you are going to get judged in a different light. Do you know what I mean? Yes, money comes into it, but I'm not going to be, hypocritical. That shouldn't come into it all the time. But when I look at Paul Pogba about what he's done here and it hasn't worked out and it's 100% right for him to move, and he will go back to Juventus and I think he'll be all right because, again, it's back in the comfort zone, strut about a little bit. Do you know what I mean? Do okay, different league, back in Serie A. With France, he's got an array of everything. You're playing in a super team. But I look at some of the top players. Look, if you look at Steven Gerrard, right, with what he used to do at Liverpool in shit teams, He used to stand out. He would still be a mark. Like, to me, that's like top notch. Like, doesn't matter what team you're in. Do you know what I mean? And I just feel like I don't think Pogba has that level of impact on a shit team. I think he's an amazing player who also needs to be in an amazing team, or he'll look like an average player. That's just what that's what I feel about it. And I wasn't even planning on talking about Pogba that deep, but it just came to me. Am I being harsh? Am I being deluded? I don't know. I want to know what you guys think about that. But I'm just comfortable in saying that I overgassed him to think that there would be a level I would see from him that I just never saw from him as an individual. Forget the team, and we didn't buy this player to go, what do you expect? He was playing with McTominay and Fred and all these excuses for Pogba needing to be unlocked all the time. You know, when it's multifaceted. It isn't just him, but even Patrice Evans was saying it when I was speaking to him off camera. He was like, Paul hasn't been the best as well. There are things that he's been untreated fairly, but he's still got to take some of the blame. And another interesting thing that I wanted to talk about was this Lewandowski situation, where basically, have Manchester United been let in the door because Lewandowski can't go to Barcelona at this moment? No, absolutely not. We're not going to get Lewandowski. The reason why they can't sign him is because they need to raise the money. They need to raise the 500 million by June 30th, something like that. So we know what's going on there. So I wouldn't read too much into that. A little bit here from the Mirror as well I wanted to touch on. Man United and Arsenal are among the teams who have expressed an interest in Dominic Calvert-Lewin. Everton are braced for offers, with Newcastle also ready to test their resolve. Striker is understood to be open to a move. That's reported this morning from David Maddock. He's a Northern football correspondent for Daily Mirror. Calvert-Lewin, not having him. Not having him. I wouldn't. I don't think he's prolific. I don't think he's the type of profile that we need. And I don't think he's one that we'll go for as well. I think that's really off. Arsenal might be all right for them. I don't see that. Calvert-Lewin just doesn't fit. So yeah, I just want to bring you guys that a little bit, and a little bit on Diogo Dalot, because Fabrizio Romano was saying that Dalot is a player that Eric Ten Hag has had positive feedback. Again, Dalot, let's not dress it up. Let's keep the same energy for players. Dalot was horrendous as well. You know, he got the nod off Ralph over Wan-Bissaka, and essentially, that looks like that will be the end of him at Manchester United. He'll probably get a move, Wan-Bissaka. Dalot didn't deliver. He wasn't very good at all. Defensively, he was poor. The distribution and the crossing was absolutely horrendous, which again, that's something that we associate him with. I think it was like, two wins in the last 9 games, something like that for Manchester United. So it was absolutely horrendous. But he wasn't good. I think the only saving grace is that I think Dalot will fall into a category of, you get to stay by default because we just can't get rid of that many in one window. You know, Wan-Bissaka, I think there's less to work with than Dalot. And maybe if, Romano is saying that there's been positive talks, maybe that came from, Ten Hag looked at him and says, I do think I can get a tune out of him. There's something there I can work with. He's got a decent touch. He's got a decent understanding of the game. I need to work on that quality, and I need to work on that understanding of where to be and how to defend properly, because he hasn't been great. He hasn't been great at all. So for me, would I be having him staying? I guess you have to, but he's got a lot of work to do as well. But he's more staying from default. But do you know what? Just before I finish off, that is something I am massively looking forward to, though. I know a lot of people aren't because they've given up on these players, but I want to see what Ten Hag can do with any of these. Because if he gets a tune out of some of these, it'd be a fucking miracle. Honestly, they've been that bad, and we've seen such overwhelming, overriding evidence that these players are bad and not up to it. If Ten Hag comes and shows something different, you may look at it as shame on you, the players, shame on you, because where was this? You gave up, you down tools. But also you can look at it as, wow, Eric Ten Hag is a proper coach. Look at what he's done. He's changed the culture. He's got people like McTominay doing X. He's got people like Luke Shaw doing Y. He's got people like Dalot doing this. Look at Rashford. Oh my gosh, where's this been? And those are the things we want to be saying. We want to back our players. I want Eric Ten Hag to improve these guys. But there's only so much that's going to happen. There's only so much can happen. So yeah. Anyway, guys, smash a like on the video, subscribe to the channel if you are new. Got a nice video coming for you at 6 p.m. So make sure you guys check that out. I think you'll be excited to see that. And I'll see you all again very, very soon. Peace.